Hey everyone, this is David Brown with the migration update for March 24th, 2025 from the Derby Hill Hawkwatch. The morning was cool and overcast, but by mid-morning there was a little bit of sunshine and brighter sky to get the raptors moving, and it became a bit warmer, so not too bad of a day. Here we have a bald eagle that's maybe not quite a full adult yet. We can still see some dark in the tail and maybe a little bit of dark in the head as well. Here we have a small hawk with a long tail. We see a very squared off, or in this case, even notched tip to the tail. And it looks like the dark cap of the bird extends all the way down to the back, giving it a more hooded appearance. This is an adult sharp-shinned hawk. Here we have another sharp-shinned hawk, but we see this one is brown on top because this was the first juvenile sharp-shinned hawk of the season. We had a nice movement of turkey vultures again today, and when they got going, we had anywhere from 100 to a few hundred per hour, including some really nice groups that were moving low and slow. So really good day for turkey vultures. Here we have another hawk with a long tail. This one just looks a little bit more stretched out. Taking a look at the tail, we can see that the outer tail feathers, which fold underneath, are shorter than the central ones, and we can see a larger head, and the orange barring to the underside make this an adult Cooper's hawk, and we can see that this bird is banded, perhaps a bird that came from Braddock Bay. Here we have a large dark raptor that's holding its wings into a shallow V, and we can perhaps make out a bit of gold color to the back of the small head because this was the first golden eagle of the day. Here we have a hawk with a lot of orange to the plumage and black and white to the wings and tail. This is an adult red-shouldered hawk. Here we have an eagle that has a lot of splotchy white to the wing coverts and underside of the body, making this an immature bald eagle. Here we have a hawk that has a somewhat long tail with some narrow banding to it, some light brown streaking to the upper breast, and we do not see any patagial bars, and we can perhaps make out some translucent crescents near the wingtips because this is a juvenile red-shouldered hawk. Here we have an eagle where we see a relatively small head and we see white patches in the wings. This was the second golden eagle of the day, and this bird probably has the biggest white patches we've seen so far. But as the season goes on and we start to get more juveniles, we'll begin to see birds with nice big white patches in the wings and the base of the tail. Here we have a hawk with a really thick dark belly band and very thick dark patagial bars. This is a red-tailed hawk. We see that dark trailing edge to the wings and the red tail, making this an adult red-tailed hawk. And we also see a dark throat on this bird. That combined with the overall heavily marked plumage mean that this is probably from the northern subspecies Abieticola. Here we have a large squawking corvid with a large bill. This is a common raven. Here we have a bird that migrated high overhead, going straight north. We see long trailing legs on this bird. We see a long neck that's curved into an S shape. We can see a really long pointed bill and overall dark underneath, maybe more gray to the body. This is a great blue heron. Here we have a giant flying wing because this is a turkey vulture that is missing its tail. Here we have a hawk where, again, we see a belly band and dark patagial bars, making this a red-tailed hawk, and the dark trailing edge to the wings and red tail make this an adult. But on this bird, we can see it's more moderately marked, and we see that white throat. This is a typical eastern or borealis red-tailed hawk. Here we have a dark raptor high overhead. We see a feathered head on this bird, making it an eagle rather than a vulture. The head is relatively small compared to the length of the tail. This is another golden eagle, and we can see this bird is completely dark-winged, but it looks like it does have some white to the base of the tail, so this is probably an immature, most likely a subadult golden eagle. Here we have a buteo with long, skinny, somewhat pointed wings and a completely dark plumage to the underside of the body and the wing coverts. This is a dark morph, rough-legged hawk. Here's a flock of birds that was up in the cloud layer, and we can see that overall they're shaped like geese, but they have relatively short necks, and we can see the wingtips are darker than the rest of the underside. These are snow geese. As we got to around 1 o'clock, approaching 1:30, we kept watching this rain move in. We had it up on radar. It was just this really long band that stretched way out over the lake and pretty far south, so we knew it was inevitable that it was going to hit us. And I took shelter in the cottage, which was a good idea because it ended up raining pretty hard for a few minutes, but it gave me a nice chance to eat my lunch. But by 2 o'clock, the sun was coming out again, and there was some nice steam coming off of the fields. Despite that sunshine, the flight never picked up after the rain. It was slow for the next few hours as it clouded over again with just a Cooper's hawk and a harrier. And we ended up staying later than I expected to. And I was cleaning up my equipment, and it was pretty close to 6 o'clock that I looked out in the distance and finally saw some turkey vultures gathering. And as I watched, there were more and more. And we had something like 150 to 200 turkey vultures come through there at the end of the day ahead of a westerly wind shift. So I don't know if that was the cold front finally actually reaching us, but the wind shifted from a light and variable, mostly northerly wind to a stronger westerly wind. And there were vultures riding ahead of it. So we got a nice push at the end of the day that took us to over 1,000 vultures for the day and over 1,100 total migrating raptors. Taking a look at the eBird list, today we had 50 species. Taking a look at the hawk count report for our migrant raptor totals, today we had 1,007 turkey vultures, 7 bald eagles, 5 northern harriers, 22 sharp-shinned hawks, and 8 Cooper's hawks. For Buteos, we had 11 red-shouldered hawks, 40 red-tailed hawks, and 1 rough-legged hawk. We had 3 golden eagles, and the only falcons today were 4 American kestrels, for a total of 1,108 migrating raptors. That pushed us past the 10,000 bird mark for the season, bringing us to a total of 10,510 migrating raptors. Taking a look at the forecast for tomorrow, it's looking cloudy with a few snow flurries and temperatures in the mid to upper 30s, strong westerly winds at 15 to 25 miles per hour. I'll probably be at the south lookout, although if there's a little bit of south in the wind in the morning, I may stay at the north lookout initially, but we'll probably end up moving. And I would expect maybe we'll get a continued push of turkey vultures, but probably light migration for other species. And then looking ahead to Wednesday and Thursday, it's looking like similar moderate to strong westerly winds, a little bit more sunshine for Thursday, but I would expect decent vulture flights to continue, but relatively low numbers of other raptors. All right, well, going into today, I was a little unsure how the weather would hold up, but actually the weather ended up being better than we expected, and we had a really nice flight. We had some folks come out to enjoy the flight, including one of my friends from Braddock Bay who came to visit and got to see a really nice flight, including those 3 golden eagles. So overall, a terrific day of hawk watching, and hopefully we'll have more terrific days of hawk watching coming up soon here at Derby Hill. From Lyco Birds, this is David Brown. Thanks for watching.